the Bulldogs of Georgia arrive. Their head coach, Vince Dooley, one of the winningest coaches in college football. His mark at Death Valley, a good one. Now the crowd awaits the arrival of the Tigers. The top of that hill, they'll pour down, touching that mystical rock. Moments ago, they boarded 2 buses at one end of the stadium. They filed out after hearing the final words of preparation from Coach Ford. For the buses, it takes 3 minutes to drive around the corner. And here are the men inside. Their final thoughts before taking on Georgia. It's one of the great rituals of college football. The arrival of the Clemson Tigers. To defer. Georgia said, we'll take the ball. So Rusty Sile will put it on the tee and kick it off for the Tigers. Go downstairs to John Dockery. John?
Brent, interesting, if you notice, the Clemson Tigers are in all orange. They're another little piece of good luck. At home, they're 12-1 when they wear their full orange uniform. The only team they lost to was South Carolina back in 1984. An extra bit of luck. They had the rock and all orange uniform. Now back to you.
To make it 13-1 in the all-orange here today. Boy, Pat Hayden, this city has to love Halloween.
I've never seen so many orange pouchos in my life. It's tough to look good in orange, too, isn't it?
There's the Georgia mascot. Hugga 4. He's ready. Underway. Osborne at the goal line for Georgia. There's an alley. Good opening field position for the Bulldogs on that return by Cassius Osborne, a wide receiver. He hauls it out 40 yards.
Boy, and this game is a game of field position, Brent.
How about that Georgia offense, Matt?
James Jackson, a solid quarterback, comes up with big plays, both good and bad, though.
Now along with him, Lars Tate, the star. Alfonso Ellis, the freshman. He is the fullback in that attack. Wide receivers, John Thomas and Osborne, who had that splendid return. They're at the line of scrimmage. Double tight end. They run the fullback, Ellis, against a very stout Clemson defensive front. Probably one of the better defensive lines in college football. How about the Georgia offensive line, Pat?
Well, they do have their work cut out for them. Wheeler's a very good center, but the real test, I think, for the Georgia offensive line comes at the tackle position, Brent. These guys have their hands full against Michael Dean Perry and Chavis on the front from Clemson. The tackles have to play well.
And the tight end, Troy Sadowski, as Jackson brings the Dogs to the line of scrimmage. This will be 2nd and 7. He'll put it up. Out to Tate. He busts one tackle. The first man could not bring him down, Pat.
You cannot arm tackle Lars Tate. Like we said, he's 210 pounds. Not necessarily shifty, but he will run over you and break tackles. And these are the guys that are going to try to stop him. Very stout, as you mentioned up front. They go 300 pounds across the front. Stevens right at the nose tackle. Chavis doesn't get as much credit as Perry, but he'll be a #1 draft pick a year from now.
Jackson and Haynes at linebackers, along with Earl and Taylor. Jackson brings them up for the 3rd and 4. They'll run Tate. Gets the first down and busts a tackle. He's a good-looking, powerful runner. The leading runner in the country before the freshman bandit John Johnson took him out of bounds on the far side. Now the rest of that defense for Clemson. Wolford, a superb corner. James Lott, #5, is on the other side. The two safeties, Gene Beasley and Richard Smith. And would you believe it? We have a Beasley and a Smith in the Georgia defensive backfield today.
No relation.
Just call on Smith and Beasley. 1st and 10 with the ball at midfield for Georgia. Their opening possession. Off a big hit. He took a blow and completed the pass to his tight end Sadowski. That was Gene Beasley leading the defensive pursuit of Sadowski. But I'll tell you what was impressive there is the young quarterback took the shot and delivered the completion.
And for Georgia to win today, they're going to have to throw the ball successfully. And they only average about 15 throws a game, but the Clemson defense is just too good inside to run inside. So you're going to see them run outside into the short side of the field and throw the ball.
That was Johnson, the linebacker, who delivered that blow. Fullback Ellis is met, but he battled his way for a couple of yards, and Tony Stevens, the nose man, hit him first.
Interesting on this first series that Vince Dooley is using the freshman fullback. Early he's run him twice on the first series. And again, what they're trying to set up is once you establish that fullback, then that quarterback's going to take the ball out of his gut, run down the line and option off the defensive end.
Mascot being honored by the hat worn by the coach. University of Georgia, or UGA as the Bulldog is known, and Jackson is a good option quarterback and a superb runner. He just kept it himself for that first down. Vince Taylor brought him down.
Real nice sequencing of plays here by Georgia early on. The fullback plunged twice, and just like we said, this was set up by 2 earlier fullback runs. Now it looks the same to the defense. They fake the ball to Ellis, the fullback. They clearly take the pitch away, and Jackson does a nice job, a good decision of keeping the ball and diving for the first down.
That offense is keeping the defense back on its heels. That offensive line of Dooley's firing out with authority right now. Splendid kickoff return set up the drive. Jackson rolling to the left will take off in a big alley and runs his way to the 30-yard line into the arms of Taylor.
Well, another good decision there by James Jackson. Just a moment ago, we saw him make a good decision down the line. Now here, what James Jackson has to do is not necessarily win the game, but don't lose it. Don't throw the interception. Don't take the sack. Good coverage, so he makes a very good choice, his 2nd in a row, and picks up about 6 yards on the dive there.
Pat, he plays with arrogance, and I mean that as a compliment.
I think that's the best trait a quarterback can have is confidence.
Tate stepped around the would-be tackler, out of bounds on the near sideline, under control. Norman Haynes, the linebacker, giving chase against Tate.
Guess who had a real good block again? The freshman Alfonso Ellis, number 33 at fullback. Anytime you find a leading rusher at a tailback in an I formation, you're going to have an outstanding blocker at fullback.
We'll see the Buckeyes next Saturday down in Baton Rouge. Another big one coming your way against LSU. Michigan on a comeback after that disappointing loss to Notre Dame and Penn State, having fallen at the hands of Alabama coming back today. And keep an eye on the Arkansas Razorbacks. Now the change had to come across the field before the measurement, and you could tell by the crowd's reaction here.
That's a first. Very good opening drive here by Georgia, mixing it up. We've seen one pass, we've seen a sprint out, we've seen two fullback plunges, and an option play. Very good sequencing of plays.
The ball is inside the 30-yard line right now. Nathaniel Lewis is in at wide receiver. It'll be Tate. He got all he could out of that run. They were stringing him out, and he battled his way for the gain before Gene Beasley, the safety man, tackled him.
It's amazing what one player can, what kind of effect a player can have. Michael Dean Perry, the outstanding defensive end for Clemson. He's such a good pass rusher. What Georgia is doing is playing two tight ends to keep away the quick outside rush by Michael Dean Perry. Good strategy by Georgia using two tight ends.
One way to quiet the crowd at Death Valley. Score first. This is a very important drive for the Bulldogs. Jackson will put it up. Out of bounds. He threw that one up for grabs a little bit, intended for Osborne.
Here's Michael Perry. He is going to be a factor all day. Has had 7 sacks this season so far. Watch it come up upfield. Just gets rid of the tackle in front of him. But Jackson was a quick route. Didn't give Perry really a chance to make a play.
Now one of those moments that face quarterbacks in games against tough defenses. Third down. They have completed their only third down conversion so far. Twice on this drive. Jackson over the middle to Tate. And Tate with daylight. Battles his way inside the 10 for a first down before James Lott finally tackles him. It's a 17-yard gain, a first down for the Dogs.
And what beautiful play selection by Georgia. A 3rd and 8. You let the wide receivers and tight end go downfield. Tate is pretending in the backfield like he's going to stay in and block. And then it's a little delay. A safe pass, an easy pass, and Tate makes the most out of it. The linebackers had gone way downfield covering the outside receivers. And that's an easy first down on a very good call by Georgia.
It's the goal line defense coming in. And that is Berry, Hiawatha Berry, who replaced Ellis with his first carry. He's a sophomore out of Winder, Georgia. Ellis, the freshman. So they're young at that fullback spot, but Dooley believes in the next couple of years they will mature into outstanding college fullbacks.
Perry's a low 255 pounds worth.
It'll be the power I this time with Ellis and Berry in there together, and a timeout. After 2 games, the Clemson defense is ranked #1 overall in the nation. Yet on their opening drive, the Georgia Bulldogs have held it for almost 6 minutes. They have moved 55 yards. This is the 13th play of a very impressive series. Jackson off the bootleg, looking for a receiver on the run, keeps it. The Clemson defense was equal to that task. That was Henry Carter for Coach Ford, chasing the quarterback.
Well, a year or 2 ago, Jackson would have thrown this ball and maybe gotten it picked off. But this time he showed, again, good discretion. Watch the defense. Terrific quickness by the Clemson defense. See, inside Henry Carter, number 40. He's right on the quarterback right now. Earl, number 9, fights off a block to make a play. It's hard to outrun the out linebackers of Clemson. Good sideline-to-sideline play.
3rd and goal. The Bulldogs must score. They cannot get a first down against Ford's defense. In trouble. Out of bounds. That will signal the arrival of the kicker, Steve Crumley.
very good defense. Have not given up a touchdown yet this season. Good coverage by the corners, Lott and Wolford.
Pat, there seemed to be some momentary confusion coming out of the backfield that time.
And you know why? It was Perry. Michael Perry was quick off the ball and made James Jackson pull up a lot sooner than he wanted.
A 21-yard field goal attempt by Crumley. From the hash, it's true. The Bulldogs score first. Key play was Osborne's kickoff return of 40 yards. Left-footed soccer style, and it'll be McFadden. Ooh. Held short of the 30-yard line, but there was a hole there momentarily for Wesley McFadden. So the Bulldogs cover the 56 yards in 15 plays, and Crumley kicks a 21-yard field goal, but the Clemson defense held inside the 10-yard line. Now it'll be up to their offense. Rodney Williams, number 13, will direct the attack. Starting behind him is Terry Allen at tailback. And they use him on first down. No hole as John Brantley, number 42, the middle linebacker, plugs it up. The Clemson offense. You have met Williams. He is to be a key man in this attack today. You can seldom make a living running entirely against a Vince Dooley coached defense. So you must rely on a quarterback like Williams to at least keep them honest with an occasional completed pass.
The offensive coordinator, Jack Crow, says we need 150 yards passing out of Williams today to win.
Allen, and again the Georgia defense at the point of attack. Terry Webster, number 60, another of the talented Bulldog linebackers, was there, and that will bring up a third down. The running backs behind Williams are Chris Lancaster, a bull of a fullback, great blocker. Terry Allen will be spelled frequently by McFadden throughout the afternoon. Keith Jennings and Ricardo Hooper are the wide men in this attack. This is the third down for Williams and the Tigers. Intercepted. Number 15, Vincent. No. Ricardo Hooper was the intended receiver. Vincent with coverage, and Williams threw his first interception.
Well, and Rodney Williams is the guy you don't want to start slowly. This was a poor decision all the way. It was double covered. 15 Vincent is just sitting there waiting. His responsibility is deep outside. Against the Georgia defense, it's very difficult to beat them downfield with the deep pass.
Vincent being congratulated by his defensive mates on his first interception of the year. And now Jackson brings the offense back to the attack. Again, favorable field position for the Bulldogs. Motion and a run, big Lars Tate, the nation's leading rusher, behind the left side of the offensive line. Now we've got an update. Let's go to New York. Here's Jim Nantz. Jimmy?
All right, Brent, Florida is surprising Alabama, and the story is of freshman Emmitt Smith. This his second touchdown. He has 214 yards on the ground, and the Gators leading by 17 with 7 minutes left. Let's go back to Brent and Pat.
Thank you, Jimmy. A letdown after that upset against Penn State. Emmitt Smith, remember that name, folks. He's going to be another great running back down here in the Southeast. You've been watching Lars Tate and the Bulldogs. Jackson off a play fake, throws incomplete. His receiver was covered that time, and he zipped it up over Cassius Osborne's head. Credit Richard Smith, the safety, with being all over him that time. And Jackson, perhaps wisely, threw it up over his head so as not to return the interception.
Well, that's exactly right. Exactly what Williams should have done a moment ago was throw it over the receiver's head. But you're seeing two different styles of defense. Clemson's defense is just a base 34 defense. They play it real vanilla. Georgia's defense, on the other hand, is a little unusual. They play a split 60 type of defense, funnel everything inside.
Third down for Jackson and the Dogs. They split the backs. Pressure up the middle. Incomplete. And a penalty is down as Haynes was over there on the coverage. Michael Dean Perry and Richard McCullough, number 96. McCullough came in and pressured the quarterback.
Clemson thinks they have a read on the Georgia team. Anytime they get in split backs, they're going to screen the ball or throw the ball downfield. There it was the screen. Terrific pressure by McCullough, number 96. Georgia gives away the play by formation. The Clemson defensive coordinator, Tom Harper, is very well aware of it.
So the Bulldogs. You cannot hear him actually. He's trying to get his microphone working, but the ineligible receiver downfield means that the Dogs will punt here. And Hester, Joey Hester, the sophomore.
Both these teams, Brent, think they can block a punt today. We've got 10 man up now.
And Wolford set to return if they cannot. They're going to let this one roll dead. Down by Georgia at back for their second series. Tracy Johnson in at fullback for the Tigers, number 42. Terry Allen is still the tailback. It's Allen. He is met hard by 99 Tyrone McClendon. Go downstairs to John Dockery. John. Well, we'll get the bugs fixed in John's microphone here and have that report. I'm sure he had something interesting to tell you down there behind the Clemson bench. Sometimes that RF equipment will fail on you. We'll be right back down, though, John, here momentarily. Right now, this is 2nd down and 9 for the Tigers. Williams off the option. Ball fumbled, but touched last by Clemson. They'll retain possession as Allen sort of batted it out of bounds.
Boy, they had a nice play set up, too. Very weak, soft on the outside with very good fake to the fullback there by Williams. Set up the option. That's up and going.
How good an option quarterback is Williams, Pat?
Well, he's not as good as Jackson, Georgia's quarterback, but he's efficient. Again, they don't ask. Clemson doesn't ask the quarterback here to do a whole lot except not turn the ball over. We've seen him throw the 1 interception. The defense of Clemson wins most games.
3rd and 4. Runs it again. Same play. Terry Allen gets the corner and the first down.
Well, I like to see that. When you have some success running the play, and just a moment ago that was set up, but the fumble, they came right back to it, ran it again for the first down. That's good offensive play calling in my mind.
There is that offensive line. He's from Darien, Connecticut. Jeff Bach, Harmon, and John Phillips, the All-American, Granger, and Nunemacher. Throws outside quickly to Cooper. And Cooper busts free. A 20-yard gain. Williams to Gary Cooper. What a great name for a hero. Gary Cooper.
And a nice little move. Nice little move, too. And after your quarterback throws an interception, Brent, this is the kind of pass you want. Something that he's going to complete to get his confidence back. A nice, safe pass to Cooper. Gives somebody a couple of little hips there. He's mean on the dance floor, I bet. And Cooper picks up 20 yards. But good call to settle down Williams.
You know, a lot of Northerners wind up playing down here at Clemson. At a Connecticut center. Pennsylvania wide out. 1st and 10. Williams, he'll keep it. Good move to the outside. Run out at the 30-yard line. Ricardo Hooper paved the way for Williams with a tremendous block, a 12-yard run, and Brown, the rover, gets him out of bounds.
You are absolutely right. Hooper, the wide receiver, number 26, made the key block there. And, you know, wide receivers blocking can turn a 5-yard. He was the man in motion, number 26. Now, when Williams decides to run, you're going to see 26 on the right of the screen come in and make a block right there on Brantley. And that's the difference right there. A receiver can make a 5-yard run, a 15-yard run by a good block.
Another first down for the Tigers. They run the short man, Johnson. In behind the right side, and that's big John Phillips from Spruce Pine, North Carolina.
What Clemson felt they needed to do early was to establish the fullback, run the ball inside with the fullback to set up the option play outside.
That Georgia defensive line, Goldberg and Brown, along with McClendon and Chubb. They face the second down. Allen to the 21-yard line. I think the heart of this Georgia defense, again, is the middleman, John Brantley, one of the better middle linebackers in the South this year. Terry Webster and Vince Guthrie alongside him. Now they will face both fullbacks. Chris Lancaster and Tracy Johnson are in there along with Allen in the power I. They usually bring Lancaster in motion, let him lead Johnson through the hole as they did that time. That's a familiar play down inside the 5-yard line for these Clemson fans.
And was there a hole on the right side of the offensive line? You know, the center, right guard, and right tackle, Georgia believes, is the best in football in combination. You shouldn't have that big a hole on 3rd and short. And it was a big hole for Tracy Johnson. Great short yardage run.
Ball on the Georgia 15-yard line. 1st and 10. Williams keeps it. And he did not fool the Bulldog defense that time, led by Chubb, number 28.
The success that Clemson has had this drive has really been on the inside plays. You know, this Georgia defense, their philosophy, they're trying to funnel everything inside to the linebackers. There's Brantley and 60 is Webster. They try to it's very difficult to run outside. Here is the soft spot, and this is where they want to run, right up the middle.
And right now, the Clemson Tigers use their first timeout. Georgia leads it 3-0. We'll be right back.
You realize the Paul is everywhere around Clemson. It's everywhere when you go downtown, on cars, on the streets. But have you ever wondered where it came from? Now, I'd like to tell you a fancy bit of football folklore, but I can't. An advertising executive back in 1970 gave Clemson a much-needed, much-wanted, more visible symbol. It's prospered ever since for the last 17 years. And when you're in Clemson, no one escapes the paw.
A Harvard man with a tiger paw.
What do you think back in Cambridge, I wonder right now?
Pat, the last time I came down here, they took that legend, Ara Parsegan, and put tiger paws all over his face. He never has forgiven him for that. Second down for Williams and the Clemson Tigers. The ball on the Georgia 15. Bringing the end around. This is Cooper. He's cut off, and the penalty marker flies down around the 10-yard line. Well, that play was in the game plan, but sometimes you won't see a coach use it that close to the goal line.
I think what Clemson was expecting was a blitz. It's a good call against a blitz because you get some over pursuit.
Penalty goes against the Tigers. So a mistake cost them here.
You know, Brent, that is Clemson's 21st penalty of the year, which I find remarkable. This is only the 3rd game. They've been penalized an awful lot this season thus far.
That is scores in college football today in the 4th quarter. Georgia Tech 20, North Carolina 3.
Iowa running it up on Iowa State. Kent State shocking Kansas. And Louisville leading Purdue. Howard Schnellenberger in the 2nd quarter with a lead in that game.
I think Clemson needs to make sure they come away here with 3 points. Now, it's 2nd and very long. This is not Clemson's kind of play, throwing the ball downfield. Rodney Williams has to make sure he doesn't turn the ball over or get sacked.
The fullback. Williams rolls to the left, incomplete, intended for Hooper.
I'll tell you, Hooper, number 26, had a lot of room. You're going to see over here at the rollout. The quarterback is going to roll out to his left. The ball is actually thrown pretty well. There's a lot of cushion there for this part of the field. And see the defensive back turned in. That's Vincent. He can't cover the out route when he's facing in toward the quarterback. That's a good call because it's tough for him to turn all the way around and cover the out cut.
Nothing's going here. We'll see last year's hero, David Treadwell, attempt to tie it. Motion. run the tailback alley. They're going to be content to kick the field goal and come back down tied at 3. They did not want to turn the ball over against Vince Dooley's Bulldogs.
There was an awfully good block on the nose man and the linebackers inside. They were expecting the pass on 3rd and long. A nice little call. 2 good blocks. Allowed Allen to pick up enough yards to put the field goal kicker in much better position to make the 3 points.
Ball will be held on the 20-yard line. This a 30-yard attempt by Treadwell, who beat the Bulldogs at the closing buzzer a year ago. He has tied this game. Now let's take a closer look at 2 fine institutions, the University of Georgia and Clemson University. 3. Osborne returned one from there 40 yards the first time out. They cut him off this time. Much better kickoff coverage by the Tigers. That was Tyler Grimes, number 17, who led the charge downfield on that kickoff squad. The scoreboard malfunctioning at the moment, so neither team can look up and see how much time is remaining here in the opening quarter. The officials have called a timeout to see if they can clarify the situation. Meanwhile,
sounds like a wimp to me.
Never say that when you go through that Atlanta airport, Mr. Hayden. Let me tell you that right now. Some dogs are coming to you. This is 1st and 10 now for the Georgia Bulldogs. Lars Tate. Boy, he's a good-looking running back, isn't he? McCullough swatted him down, number 96. One of the things about Michael Dean Perry and the rest of this front, they are so deep here at Clemson that they always keep fresh rushmen on the field.
One of the hardest things to find in college football are defensive linemen, good defensive linemen. And Clemson has about 6 or 7 of them, and they feel they have to give them all a chance.
2nd down and the 7 for the Bulldogs. Tate again. You know, I haven't seen the first tackler bring him down yet. Norman Haynes, number 14, in on him that time.
We talked about the defensive front. Watch how quick they get off the ball, too. You're going to see a couple guys that hit Tate early, but you don't bring them down early. But there's a good tackle there by number 14, Haynes, the inside linebacker. But one guy doesn't bring him down alone.
That shows you how many plays they're in on. Now, Chavis, Raymond Chavis, might be the most talented if you are an NFL scout. He's only a junior. He is a superb football player. And he's resting right now in this series. This is 3rd down for Jackson and the Dogs. Throws a wobbly pass out of bounds. And again, it was McCullough who exerted pressure. So his last 4 passes have been incomplete. And the Clemson Tiger defense starting to growl.
Came with some inside pressure there with an inside blitz. Jackson didn't have any time to find anybody open.
Now in this battle of field position, they are forcing Hester this time to punt from inside his 15-yard line. Wolford, the cornerback, set to return. He hangs a high, beautiful punt, much better than his first effort. Good coverage by the Bulldogs. 46-yard punt, a 6-yard return. The start of a football weekend on CBS, and hopefully for the fans, this will end the New York Giants. Giants, speaking of the Perry, the Fridge was in on that manhandling of Phil Simms here. 1st down goes nowhere against that Bulldog defense as Vince Guthrie, the strong linebacker, makes the tackle on Rodney Williams. So Williams is the quarterback for Clemson right now. Chris Lancaster, the fullback, and Wesley McFadden checks in for the first time. He was electric last week.
He had 2 big long runs. One was 89 yards and one 44 yards for a touchdown. Clemson gets a couple of big plays.
Carolina, Death Valley. The Clemson Tigers and the Georgia Bulldogs are tied at 3. Generally speaking, they go to the 4th quarter with the outcome still hanging in the balance. It's been that kind of series. Rodney Williams pitches out to McFadden, and he is taken out of bounds on the far side.
You know, Brett, Mark Vincent, the man who intercepted the ball earlier for Georgia, is an interesting story. He should be playing his senior year at SMU. Now, he's never going to be a great pro player, but when the program went on probation, he transferred to Georgia, and he's here. He wanted to, I talked to him yesterday, wanted to play that last year of football. He'll be going to law school next year. Originally, he was going to go to SMU. Now he thinks he may stay at Georgia.
Well, we should point out that those who transferred from SMU were eligible to play this year. They did not have to sit out a year. Williams on a pop throws it low, and the Bulldogs swat it down. Tyrone McClendon got a big paw on it and knocked that pass down.
Clemson's almost exclusively been into the short side of the field. As you can see one more time right down the line here, and McClendon is number 99. He gets that hand up. He's 6'4". Now, that's good coaching. Most defensive linemen don't get their hands up enough. And when the quarterback's right near the line of scrimmage, you're going to tip a lot of balls. That's good defensive coaching.
Clemson to punt. Rusty Sile. Free number 19. He hangs one up, and Lewis, with sure hands, fields it at the 24. Oh, slick return. 45. 50. One man to beat is Sile. He gets past him. Lewis breaks free for a touchdown. The Bulldogs strike. The junior wide receiver returns the punt 76 yards for a touchdown, and credit number 28, Aaron Chubb, with the key block that sprung him. So the kicking game is in Georgia's favor. They set up their opening field goal with a 40-yard kickoff return by Osborne, and now they get a 76-yard punt return for a touchdown. Penalty will be assessed on the kickoff.
Exactly right. How many times, though, over the years have you seen the Georgia special teams set up either a touchdown or score themselves? This is a trait of Vince Dooley teams, very strong special teams.
Crumley to attempt the extra point. A stunned crowd here in Death Valley. Lewis seemed boxed in. Right through the middle.
You know, Brent, the Georgia team was really in a dilemma because they think they can block a punt, but they've got a very good guy by the name of Nate Lewis, who they think very highly of as well, and you can see why. Now, he got a couple of blocks, but the last part of this was all his own. He broke one tackle, and one of his guys peeled back, and then the move inside, and then you aren't going to catch him. But they think they can block a punt as well.
Now, you saw number 28, Chubb. He waited. He did not want to clip. He let Lewis get past him, and then he picked off the last man. Great return. We'll be right back. In the end zone, we are surmising that several of the Georgia players came off the bench. Illegal participation. A 15-yard penalty for unsportsmanlike conduct is assessed on the kickoff, so they will kick it from the 20-yard line. Clemson should come away with superb field position. This is Joe Henderson with the return. Down at the 41-yard line, where it will be 1st and 10.
I think that's a silly rule. Here you have a college game. If you can't get happy and excited about scoring a touchdown, I don't know. We're going to outlaw the fraternities soon.
I agree, Pat, because they took some of the spontaneity out of the NFL a few years ago. Wouldn't let the fun bunch celebrate. Let's present this week's Toyota Leadership Award now. Those players have been singled out by the coaching and faculty staff for outstanding performance in areas of team contribution and academics. Now, the leadership winners today are Kim Stevens from Georgia. He's a senior offensive guard majoring in business, and we'll get back to that in just a moment. This is 1st and 10, and they run the fullback, Tracy Johnson, behind the right side of the line into Larry Brown's arm. Now the gentleman we were just speaking about who received the Toyota Leadership Award, Kim Stevens. He is a 3.4 grade point average student from Noonan, Georgia. David Treadwell from Clemson, senior place kicker, majoring in electrical engineering with a 3.07. As I recall the story about Treadwell, he was a walk-on who was here at the engineering school. So impressed Coach Ford with his workout that he signed him as his field goal specialist. Usually he looks for a soccer star. And again, it is Johnson right straight ahead. A shocker. Let's go to Jim Nance in New York. Jim?
Well, Brent, Ohio State is finally starting to open it up against Oregon. Right at the end of the third, a touchdown by the Buckeyes, then a blocked punt, and then right back 74 seconds later, George Cooper rambling 20 yards into the end zone. 17-0 Buckeyes to open up the fourth quarter. Let's go back to Brent and Pat.
All right, Jim, and here in Clemson, Georgia leads the Tigers 10-3. Williams with the deep drop this time, complete to Jennings. Jennings inside the 40-yard line with a 17-yard gain and a first down, Clemson.
Too big a cushion there by the Georgia defense. Plenty of room for Keith Jennings to make the cut on 3rd and 7. That's just way, way too soft for corner play. It's an easy throw.
We'll see the Buckeyes next Saturday down in Baton Rouge. I'm looking forward to seeing LSU at home.
I tell you, go from Death Valley down to Baton Rouge. That's 2 football environments, isn't it?
You bet. So Clemson trailing by 7 on the move here. And the penalty helped establish better field position. And again, they run the fullback right straight ahead. And Johnson breaks free. They won't catch him. Tussles as Tracy Johnson bolts 38 yards for the touchdown. And now Treadwell with an attempt to tie it up for Coach Ford. Dead perfect.
Brent, it's very difficult to run outside on the Georgia defense. But watch on the inside runs. They've been trying to set this up all day. A little trap there by Phillips, number 61. Clears the way for Johnson. And then he does the rest on his own. And this is a guy playing with a pulled hamstring. Didn't practice much this week. But again, that was set up. They tried to run option plays outside a few times. That time they gave the ball in the fullback trap.
And the Clemson sideline watches as they tie the Georgia Bulldogs at 10. Blocking on this play.
Well, it was the center right here, Jeff Back, and the left tackle, Ty Granger. Back is going to block down here on the defensive lineman, and watch Granger as he comes down and seals off Brantley and allows Tracy Johnson to cut right off his block. They both block down. You have a little trap there by Phillips, but he slips and falls. But there's no linebacker on the inside, and once Tracy Johnson gets into the backfield, he just makes one defensive back miss, and it's a touchdown. Well blocked.
Now Rusty Sile to kick it over. Sile is the kickoff man. Treadwell added the extra point. This is Osborne again. Fumble. He reached back. Clemson claims that it got the ball, but I believe Osborne stuck a hand out and pulled it in and recovered his own fumble.
And the home team's always going to claim they recover those fumbles, aren't they? There is one more look at Osborne. He's lucky, I guess, on the grass, the ball's not going to jump away from you as much as it would on AstroTurf. He's lucky the ball stays right there. He does a pretty nice job of getting it back.
Now the problem the last couple of series for James Jackson has been Clemson's defensive line. They're not giving Georgia any time. He keeps it around the left side. Gene Beasley smacked him down.
You know, you make an interesting point, though, because the way Clemson changes their players, they're always there in the fourth quarter. If this stays to be a close game, which we anticipate it to be, they're going to be fresher down the stretch by playing so many players.
At the field position for Vince Dooley at the 32 against Coach Ford's defense. This will be 2nd and 4. Bulls straight ahead into Haynes. Norman Haynes, one of the inside linebackers, brings him down. Downstairs to John Dockery. John?
Thank you, Brent. Vince Dooley's trying to keep his team cool, and what he's done, it's gotten a lot hotter down here. The weather's broken, the sun is breaking through. It's very humid, so he has this portable air conditioner which pumps cool air out along the bench through these holes and keeps his players cool along the bench. The question is, with all this noise in Death Valley, can they keep their cool on the field? How about you, Brent?
They'll try to hear this count on 3rd and 1. Tate for the first down.
You must defeat Georgia on 3rd and short if you're going to win the game, because the way they run the ball, they're going to end up a lot in 3rd and 1 and 3rd and 2. Now, Tom Harper, the Clemson defensive coordinator, says that's what this game will be, won and lost on our defensive team, whether we can stop them in short yardage.
The rushing so far.
A little misleading, the one long run there by Johnson of Clemson.
To throw it quickly to the outside, and that's Thomas. Fumble recovered by the Bulldogs. That was Wolford who delivered that blow on that side.
That's 2 times now that Georgia has fumbled the ball and gotten it back. And what was it Vince Dooley's telling us yesterday? It will be the team that turns the ball over the most that wins this ball game. Dodged a bullet twice now.
Lewis, number 8. Along with Thomas, 9 of the wide men. Jackson rolling to the right. Receiver was covered, and he cuts back with that great athletic ability of his. Picking his way for a gain. How about Jackson on that play? A 9-yard gain on a broken play for the senior quarterback.
And no matter how good your defense is, there is no defense for this kind of play, the impromptu play that James Jackson can give any offense. I'm kind of impressed with Georgia's play selection, Brent. They've done a nice job of mixing it up.
First down for the Bulldogs at the Clemson 46. Here's Tate behind the fullback. He might have gone the distance except for the tackle by Richard Smith and Donnell Wolford, who came over to help. A 15-yard gain for Tate.
This is just a pitch sweep here. The key blocks are by the fullback and a tight end. Again, Ellis, number 33, has done a very nice job of taking on the Clemson defenders. And if you don't get any penetration on Tate and give him a little steam to run like that, at 210 pounds, he is tough to bring down.
Liberalization of the blocking rules in the college game, just like the professionals, allows the offensive blocker to extend his arms, and a couple of the Georgia linemen use theirs to a tremendous advantage. Tate comes back to the short side of the field, gets inside the 30, and again safety Richard Smith forced to make the tackle. So on this drive, the Bulldogs are getting off the ball as they did with their opening drive of the game, and they're getting past the rushmen and the linebackers for Coach Dooley.
Clemson's defense, though, can be so aggressive, too, Brent. They can run right by players. They get at the ball so quickly.
Rodney Hampton checks in at tailback for the Bulldogs. He is number 7. He is a freshman out of Houston, Texas.
There's a lot more shake and bake than Tate.
Tate gets a rest. Under pressure, he will not get it off. So he is wrapped up by James Earl, but there was a whistle. A penalty flag thrown, and that's why Jackson held up and yelled at Ford's linebacker to get away from me, big fella. There's already been a whistle.
I was impressed the way Jackson hung in there and took a blow. Didn't even go down, did he? Strong.
A couple of years ago, Pat, I covered the Georgia-Clemson game down here, and Jackson came off the bench and led the Bulldogs to a come-from-behind victory. Delay a game against the Bulldogs.
And that can happen in this stadium because the crowd makes so much noise, it's hard for a quarterback to have the rest of his team hearing.
It's also somewhat tough for the quarterbacks to see the 25-second clock. They are up on the scoreboard, so if you happen to be looking at the defense, you have to take your eye off them and look up at the board to see how many seconds you have left. 2nd and 13. Jackson now pitches, bringing the end around. down number 8, Lewis.
Boy, was that a nice little play, wasn't it? Jacks did a real nice job of waiting to the last moment to pitch this ball. You're going to see him turn first. And then he's going to go right down the right of scrimmage. Fakes the ball inside of Hampton. Number 8, Lewis, is coming down on the backside. There's no defender there. You can defend the tailback on the option, but when they bring the wide receiver there like they did with Lewis, there's no one there.
This is 3rd and 3. Jackson under fire. Incomplete. Had a man open. Sadowski is tied in, and he overthrew him because he was under pressure from James Earl.
Okay, that's a very difficult pass to throw, running to your left as you're trying to turn around and get some zip on the ball. Crumley's one of the few straight-on kickers you're going to see. First one at Georgia since the Nixon administration.
And he will attempt a 41-yarder here. It's off to the right. The game's each a hard-ass buzz. 1st and 10 now for the Tigers. Ball at the 25-yard line. And they run McFadden. His most impressive run of the afternoon so far before Brantley brought him down.
It's one of the few times that Clemson has picked up positive yardage on 1st down running the ball. Now you get yourself in a 2nd and 2 or 3 situation. It's a whole different ball game.
Wesley McFadden, sophomore out of Chester, South Carolina, number 22. And last week, what he did against VPI. He had a season for some running backs. This team, Clemson, had 3 running backs gain yardage in the National Football League last Sunday. Can you imagine that? And they've still got talent down here. They run Lancaster, the fullback, straight ahead. Flagler, Flowers, and Griffin all played last week for the Clemson team, representing them in the National Football League. And yet Wesley McFadden explodes on Saturday. And you must credit that offensive line to a large extent for Coach Ford. John Phillips, perhaps the most outstanding of the group.
I was talking to Bill Lewis, the defensive coordinator of Georgia, and he said between Back, Phillips, and Nunnemacher, the guys on the right side, the center, they're the best in college football. The way they play together, best right side in college football.
Phillips is playing with an injured knee. Banged it up last week, and he told me he did not scrimmage this week with the team. But they drained the fluid out, and he said he was fine.
No big deal.
And stayed on the comeback. Michigan, too. And Northeastern over Connecticut right now. We'll have an update on all these scores plus highlights for you. Coming up at halftime, we've got a timeout being called by Clemson. That'll leave them with 1. That could prove to be a little cost story about Coach Howard. Howard lost all his quarterbacks one day, and he came into the locker room, and he walked up to old Charlie, and he walked up, he says, "Poof, you're a quarterback."
He had that kind of power, didn't he? He could do it all here.
1st and 10 now for Williams. Off fake.
Oh, that's a hole.
And right away, the penalty marker comes down on the penalty.
Boy, he just grabbed him. The defensive back grabbed Cooper.
There was no question about that. Gary Cooper trying to break free.
You know, not a bad play because it might have been a touchdown otherwise. Kind of a heads-up play, really, by the Georgia defender. And a nice call because it was set up earlier, you remember. Clemson ran a down and out. And this time the receiver Cooper went down and out and then up.
Pat, the Clemson assistant coaches must feel that Williams can do some business with the straight drop back passing game here,
which they really ordinarily don't feature. But remember, they've got a very good offensive line up in front of them. They've only allowed, I think, 3 sacks in the last 18 games. He's got some pretty good speed on the outside as well.
That was Ben Smith over there in the secondary who held the receiver.
one of the mistakes that Coach Dooley will point out, I'm sure, in the film section. Williams on the afternoon is 2 of 5 for 37 yards. He has also thrown 1 interception. We're tied. It's Clemson 10, Georgia 10. We have 7:09 to go in the first half. Ball is at midfield.
Youch.
Williams kept it, and Georgia was not surprised. In 99, Tyrone McClendon, who knocked the pass down earlier, wrestled Williams to the ground.
That's a lonely feeling when you're a quarterback and you see 270 pounds coming at you with nobody in front of you.
Yeah, I can remember when Pat Hayden was quarterback in the Los Angeles Rams, and a few of those great big old Dallas Cowboys came in.
Oh yeah, I think I had Randy White's helmet surgically removed from my chest after one game.
Now this will be second down, and they run McFadden going nowhere, and this will be a long third down. This is a passing situation coming up here at midfield. Again, it was McClendon along with Vince Guthrie, the linebacker, leading the defense for Dooley.
The time of the type of down, though, 3rd and 11, with the type of quarterback you have, where you don't want to make a mistake, you throw the screen pass or a safe pass, a delay, like we saw Georgia run earlier, or run the draw play and punt it away and play defense.
Vincent on Hooper. That was Vincent, the transfer from SMU, and he perfectly timed his blow and forced the incompletion.
And I think this is a great play by Vincent. If you see the way he's facing in, I think it's hard to cover the out route, but that time he gets his body turned and makes a nice play. But I keep testing him, Brent, on the out route, because when the quarterback faces in like he is, it's difficult for him to get around.
Boy, that was a quick move he made, wasn't it?
Very nice. Very nice.
So Clemson to punt it away with 5:48 to go, and the score tied at 10. Hangs one high. Georgia returned the last one for a touchdown. Not this one. It'll roll on into the end zone.
Receivers, he's only 5'11". Now back to you, Brent.
Lars Tate back in the game, operating at tailback. Hiawatha Berry, the fullback, the ball carrier, and Norman Haynes, number 14, up with a stop, along with Taylor, 58.
Now, if you're Vince Dooley, what you'd love to see with 5 minutes left before halftime is a drive which picks up first downs, uses up that entire 5 minutes, and gets you in a position to kick a field goal or score a touchdown. That's the best thing for Dooley right now.
Jackson checks that Clemson defense. Man in motion. Here is Tate. And Clemson with tremendous pursuit. Haynes helping Earl out. And for an update, let's go to Jim Nantz in New York.
All right, Brent, this is the first touchdown Ohio State has allowed in 8 quarters this year. Oregon's freshman quarterback Bill Musgrave to the tight end Joe Merton. 17-7 Buckeyes with 6 minutes to go. Let's go back to Brent and Pat.
All right, next week the Buckeyes go down to Baton Rouge to take on those Tigers of LSU. That figures to be another confrontation of unbeaten teams coming your way on CBS. Rodney Hampton replaces Tate. Jackson throws deep down the sideline. Oh, almost intercepted. Richard Smith, the free safety, got back, had a shot at it, but couldn't hold on.
I'll tell you, the defensive backfield coaches, these things can drive you nuts, because he had a long way to go after he caught this pass on the return. He could have gotten the ball up another 20 yards. But the receiver did a nice thing there. He really tried to break it up. Nate Lewis did a nice job of breaking that interception up.
Michael Dean Perry at the last instant, applying heat. 4th down. Ooh, punter bobbled the ball. Got off a bad punt. Clemson can take the lead before the half. Only a 7-yard punt by Hester. He bobbles the snap. He is the punter who must replace Chris Carpenter, who signed a baseball contract with the St. Louis Cardinals. And under fire here, he simply bobbled it as he was preparing to punt the ball.
Yeah, I thought he looked up there a little, Brent. I think he saw the outside pressure. Special teams has played heavily for Georgia, both positive and negatively.
From the 34, it's Williams and the Tigers, and a chance to go to town. They pass on first down, incomplete. Ricardo Hooper was the intended receiver, but the ball really was not close to him. Big for Penn State today. And a shocker.
Boy.
Alabama loses for the first time. We see these scores, and we remind you that coming up at halftime, the Prudential College Football Report with Jim Nance. Second and 10. Davis in motion. They run McFadden straight ahead.
And a nice call there by Clemson, Brent, because Georgia was coming with an outside blitz. The strong safety came from the outside, really soft on the inside. So a nice little call on the draw. Watch the center right here who's going to pick up the blitz on the inside, but this man's going to come from the outside as well. And then they run the little draw play inside. A nice call in the situation. The fullback makes a nice block as well.
Setting up this third down for Clemson and 5 for a first down. Williams keeps it, and he is stopped short of the first down. Bill Goldberg, the nose man, number 95, led the defense that time. Out of Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Andy Ford is actually considering going for this right now rather than kicking the field goal. It surprises me because it is fourth and easily 2 yards.
I think he's a little bit concerned about how far Treadwell might be able to kick it. He had alignment to set up their kicks, Pat.
The old swinging gate, as you can see, they line up 8 guys to the left, make you defend it, then they shift everybody over. They're shifting over now. It's like a fire drill.
Georgia has blocked a couple of Clemson field goal attempts. It's long enough, and he's got it. 43-yard field goal by Mr. Clutch.
You are right. Treadwell has either won or tied 4 games for Clemson over the last 2 seasons.
He has never missed in the last 6 minutes.
The guy I want on my side.
And it is Clemson 13, Georgia 10.
I was just going to say this.
Sile boots it. Beautiful. Hampton.
Oh.
Springs free. And Chan tracks him down. So the NFL coming your way tomorrow on CBS. We'll start at 12:30 Eastern time with the NFL Today. Tampa Bay, how much improvement will they show against the Chicago Bears? Washington, Atlanta, San Francisco, Cincinnati, New Orleans, Philadelphia. It's doubleheader day on CBS, and those are doubleheader games. Lars Tate is back at tailback for Georgia. Jackson sprints around the defensive rushman. Nifty run by the Georgia quarterback before Smith, the safety man, can get at him. It's a gain of 12 yards.
And that was a very nice adjustment there, Brent, by Georgia, because what Clemson did there was bring the third linebacker in the inside, overshifted, and that allowed Jackson to run the little bootleg, naked bootleg to the weak side. Good call.
First and 10, Georgia, 42.
Tate. He stepped to daylight that time and got across midfield.
You said an interesting word, step to daylight, and I think that's absolutely right. Remember at the top of the show we talked about how Tate sets up blockers. That was a perfect example of it. Just waited for a little fold block by his offensive guard, stepped in behind him, and picked up about 4.
Young man out of Indianapolis, recruited hard by Bo Schembechler in Michigan, and they lost out to Georgia. Here he comes again behind the right side. What a great hit by Earl, number 9. James Earl stood him up. That's as good a blow as anyone has delivered against Tate on an initial hit here this afternoon.
If you're going to stop the sweep play, which Clemson just did there, your outside linebacker needs to take on the fullback and make the play. James Earl just did that. Fought off the block of the fullback and stands the 210-pound running back up. That's a great play.
Leaves it 3rd and 4 for Tate and the Georgia offense. Jackson over the middle, complete. Goes to the tight end. Kirk Warner, a sophomore from Cochran, Georgia.
And that's a nice play selection there by Georgia, Brent. You know, the tight end, I think colleges don't use the tight end enough. The tight end is a big target. He's right in front of the quarterback, and it's generally a pretty easy throw.
Freshman Rodney Hampton checks here. And here on the field, it was Hampton behind the left side of the offensive line. Clock continuing to run. They'll go without a huddle right now. Jackson with the dogs at the line. Gets good protection from his backs and completes it to Thomas. Great blocking by his running backs allowed Jackson to complete the pass for 20 yards to Thomas.
You have way too much cushion by the Clemson secondary. Now, the Clemson corners usually play pretty aggressively on the corner, but watch how much cushion there. See, there's so much room in there. That's easy for the receiver to come down and run the out route. Good blocks by the back. But in this kind of situation, when they're in field goal range, you have to come up and play them and hug them, play them a little tighter. Mix-up in the secondary allowed the big pass play.
Jackson yells the play at the line of scrimmage. Straight back under pressure, throws it in the end zone, incomplete. Clock is stopped at 34 seconds. The Bulldogs with 1 timeout remaining. They trail it by 3.
And that was a touchdown if they had given him protection, but Michael Dean Perry, number 91, put the heat on Jackson, but he had the receiver open. When you're defensive back, you're glad you got some guys up front rushing like Perry.
Well, John Thomas has been his favorite receiver. But they take him out now, and they will use 2 tight ends in this formation.
They ran the delay pattern, remember, the tailback earlier in the game for big yardage.
So on 2nd and 10, Jackson on the quarterback draw gets to the 11-yard line. Clock running toward 20 seconds. Bulldogs with that 1 timeout remaining. This is short of a first down for them. 3rd and short, and he'll stop the clock. Out of bounds with 12 seconds remaining.
Very nice time management there by Jackson.
They will attempt the field goal, which could tie this game at the half. So on 4th down, Crumley will attempt the field goal. It's 28 yards. He has kicked a 21-yarder. This one is there. It's Clemson 13, Georgia 13. His father played for Coach Dooley. Coach Dooley has known this young man ever since he was a few months old. And one of the ball boys from the practice sessions, one of the stronger legs that I've seen so far this year is McFadden. Returns the kickoff with time running out here in the first half. Georgia brings him down, and we'll go to the locker rooms tied at 13. They stop it with 1 second to go, so maybe I was premature.
You know, in the old days in college football, you used to throw this thing down way downfield, get the pass interference, and then kick the field goal. Of course, the rule was changed 2 years ago, so even if there is pass interference, it's marked from the line of scrimmage.
Does Coach Ford put the players back in the buses and take them back around that way to the locker room at halftime?
That's a long way there, I know.
12-1 in the orange uniform. The only difference this time out, folks, is those are shinier pants designed by Coach Ford. A little bit of a different twist. Like I said, we'll go to the locker room tied. Jim Nance, thank you very much. Tied at 13. We're working hard to restore our picture coverage. The first big break in the second half. After 5 plays, Clemson fumbled. It'll be the Georgia ball going in at the Clemson 36-yard line. Quarterback James Jackson brings the Bulldogs to the line of scrimmage. Fullback is Hiawatha Berry. Lars Tate set in behind him. Tight end Sadowski now goes to the right side. Clemson set the 5-man front. This is Lars Tate behind the right side. Found a hole and gained 3 yards. It'll be 2nd and 7, Pat Hayden.
Yeah, one more time, that was the pitch to the short side of the boundary. Georgia has come out in the second half and run their exact game plan as they did in the first half. Tate on the sweep to the short side of the field.
Alfonso Ellis checks in at fullback for the Bulldogs. Brings the play in from Ben Julius' sideline. Lars Tate, who rushed for better than 45 yards in the first half, set behind him. Jackson looks over the Clemson defense. James Earl moves off the line of scrimmage to left defensive end. Now they're strong to the left side. They'll run up the middle with the fullback, Ellis, and he gained perhaps a yard. This will be 3rd and 6 coming up for the Bulldogs. Tony Stevens, the nose man, tackled him. Now after the opening kickoff into the end zone, Clemson kept possession for 5 plays. They were on the move when a handoff from the quarterback to the fullback was bought. And on the fumble, the Bulldogs recovered, and now they have a 3rd and 3 from the Clemson 30-yard line. Jackson eyes the Tiger defense. He keeps it himself to the right side, nothing doing. This will be 4th down as Otis Moore, number 81, the right defensive tackle. Now, we have a transmission difficulty with our picture. We understand there was a fire in a satellite transmission unit, and we're working to restore that for you. Meanwhile, I'm Brent Musburger along with Pat Hayden. We will attempt here with a radio call to keep you up to date. I see now on my off-air monitor a picture of at least Frank Howard Field being brought to the local station here. This will be a 46-yard field goal attempt by Steve Crumley. He has made a 28 to 21-yarder, and he has missed one. It's off a fake on the hand, and Lewis gets nowhere. Clemson not fooled on the fake field goal. They'll have a 1st down at the Georgia 39-yard line.
The fake was just too slow in developing, Brent. You have to run that a little bit quicker. They tried to bring Nate Lewis all the way around to the outside. Too much penetration by the Clemson rushman.
And we will continue here from Death Valley in just a moment.
If you will, from Brent and Pat. Brent?
All right, Jim Nance, thank you. We will restore the picture. Before long, Clemson on 1st down with Terry Allen behind the blocking of the right side of his offensive line. Gets to the 45-yard line.
And when Clemson has had success running the ball, it's been to the right side, right over Phillips and Nunnemacher, the right tackle and right guard.
This will be a 2nd and 3. Again, we have 10 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. It's Clemson 13, Georgia 13. We have temporarily lost our picture transmission. We will restore it. Rodney Williams calling signals. Set in front of the fullback, Tracy Johnson. Behind him, the tailback, Terry Allen. This is Allen on a sweep to the left side. Cuts back across midfield. 1st down for Clemson to the Georgia 48-yard line. Outside in Larry Brown. Tackled him there.
It was the first time we've actually seen Clemson run to the wide side of the field. The real success they've had has been to the short side of the field. That time they pitched the ball to Allen, tried to go wide side, cut it back in, and picked up enough for the 1st down. But a nice little drive going here for Clemson.
So the Clemson Tigers move for the first time this half into Georgia territory. Williams with a power eye set behind him. One wide receiver out to his right. Here is the fullback, Johnson, straight ahead, and middle linebacker, John Brantley, hit him after a gain of 1 yard. We get a score that Southern California leads Boston College 13-7. They are in the 2nd quarter of that game. Texas A&M 7, Washington 3 in the opening quarter. Mississippi 40, Arkansas State 10. They are in the 4th quarter there. And Richmond 52, Massachusetts 51 in a 3rd overtime.
A lot of football.
2nd down and 9 for Clemson. In motion is Ricardo Hooper. This is Allen, the tailback, right straight ahead, and again it was Brantley, the middle linebacker, bringing him down. He is short of the 1st down.
I'll tell you that for a defense that funnels everything inside, the Georgia's got a pretty good player in Brantley on the inside. He has had a very nice day of stuffing up the middle there of the Georgia defense.
An injured player down on the field for Georgia. Aaron Chubb being tended to from the
Georgia sideline. The trainer is out there with him. So we'll take a break from Clemson here. 8:33 to go in the third. Georgia 13, Clemson 13.
This whole situation is running me.
Back live, and our picture has been restored here in Clemson. And Pat Hayden, we must bring everybody up to date. Clemson received the kickoff, came down and fumbled, and then Georgia on a fake field goal was stuffed. Now the situation is 3rd and 3. The ball on the Georgia 42-yard line for the Clemson Tigers. We are tied at 13. Clemson with the ball, 13. Georgia 13. Rodney Williams positioning a player, and he'll throw. Incomplete. Let's take a look at that fake field goal.
The right of the screen, number 8, is Nate Lewis. Now, he's a wide receiver. Now, I think this is a funny call. Obviously, they felt Clemson was going to over-pursue and they could get the ball on the reverse. But, Brent, I think this is a field goal type of game. A field goal is going to win or lose it. I think you give your kicker a chance to make the field goal.
Well, James Earl, number 9, was the first defender in there, and he was not fooled at all. The play was given away on the right side. And Clemson stormed in, but they cannot cash in on the opportunity, and Clemson will punt it away here in the 3rd quarter. The fair catch being signaled at the 9-yard line is bobbled. And Clemson has recovered.
Returned the punt earlier for a touchdown, you remember. This time he just took his eye off the ball because he had 3 orange jerseys around him. And Brent, that is Georgia's first turnover of the year. Plenty of room. It just hit his shoulder pad and bounced off. Good coverage by the Clemson team, though.
A critical turnover and a recovery by David Spry, a senior from Sanford, North Carolina.
The story of this game, and has been for many, many years.
So the snapper gets downfield and recovers the fumble. Great hustle by Clemson's long snapper. Now from the power eye, Johnson goes nowhere. The middle of that Bulldog defense again. Tyrone McClendon comes across to bring him down, and there is a penalty marker.
I think it's really important for Clemson to get a touchdown here, not a field goal. When you get a break like that, you want to break the opponent's back. And with the home field advantage, you get a touchdown after a turnover, you have a chance to do that.
Another costly penalty.
So they have been penalized a lot this year. Like I said, 23, I think, so far this year, Brent.
Well, he has half a mic working right now.
But for Clemson, they've got 1st and goal now on a little over the 10-yard line. They can't get a first down here, Brent. And again, they are not a throwing team.
Williams waiting for the play to come in. Terry Allen, the tailback, brings it in from the Clemson sideline. Now Williams looks like he might have to use a timeout here. Another mistake.
Yeah, poor management of the clock there. Very poor management.
Coach Ford won't be happy about this.
When the sun goes down, gonna light up the night.
While you were away, Coach Danny Ford brought the entire offensive unit over to the sideline. He was less than pleased with the mistakes that are being made by his offensive unit. And the one-time star receiver from Alabama got his point across. Downstairs to John Dockery. John?
Brent, that's a euphemism to say that Danny Ford was less than pleased. He was livid because he didn't have the right players in the game. There was confusion on the sideline. He had to use a timeout he did not want to use, and Danny Ford at this moment is very, very upset with his team. Back to you.
All right, John, the players that he wanted were both the tailbacks, Wesley McFadden and Terry Allen. He now has them on the field along with fullback Tracy Johnson and 2 tight ends. It's a power I with 2 tailbacks, and this is Allen. Vince Guthrie, number 54, tackles him.
And remember, they have to get all the way into the end zone. They cannot get a first down here. They tried some misdirection here on first down. And what Clemson needs to do now is get to the perimeter of that defense on some sort of option play and give either the quarterback. Now, there's going to be some pulling left guard and left tackle. Now, there's some space there. But 54, Vince Guthrie makes a stop on him. They block him. One of those guards or tackles should have smacked Guthrie, and you had a play.
2 wide receivers. This is 2nd and goal from the 9. Madden can't spring free of Brantley.
John Brantley, we've been calling his number all day. He's in the middle of the screen, the left part of your screen, right here. He's going to step in and make the play. Now he takes on the guard's block and fights off him, a poor block by the center actually, and then puts the stop on the tailback. But they hide Brantley. He usually gets protected by a defensive lineman who keeps the guard and center off him.
We have 6:38 to go in the 3rd quarter. Georgia 13, Clemson 13. Williams slips after he pulled out from center. And the field goal unit comes on the field. It'll be up to David Treadwell.
Well, Clemson really missed a golden opportunity. They had all the momentum after the fumbled punt. They had first down on the 5-yard line, and then the big thing was the penalty. But I don't think you can coach negatively like Clemson here. They're afraid to throw an interception. You got to give your quarterback at least a chance. This time on 3rd and obviously a passing situation, as he rolls out the wet field, he slips and goes down.
Treadwell has made field goals of 30 and 43 yards. And this one good. Treadwell's 3rd field goal, a 29-yarder. And it moves Clemson ahead, 16-13. The kind of game we expect in this neighborhood.
The crowd really hasn't bothered Georgia too much.
Rusty Sile to kick it off. Osborne and Hampton. Back deep for Dooley. Osborne at the 6. Osborne trying to turn the corner outside. Another splendid return by Cassius Osborne, who set up their opening field goal. That was Donnell Wolford, who finally got him out of bounds. A 31-yard kickoff return by Osborne, who has also taken one back 40 yards.
Here you're going to see it again. Now watch how many orange jerseys are in the middle of the field. This is the 2nd time he's gone to the outside for a big return. Everybody's caught inside, and then the speed of Osborne takes him outside and sets up his offense in great field position. It's a good play by Osborne with poor coverage by Clemson.
Senior quarterback James Jackson brings the Georgia offense to the line of scrimmage. Quick throw outside to Thomas. Thomas short of the 40, hit hard. That was Wolford, number 20. Remember him. He is still a junior out of Fayetteville, North Carolina. One of the better cornerbacks in this part of the country.
Big series for the Clemson defense.
Gain of 2 yards. Second and 8 from the 39.
Georgia still must travel 8 yards for the first down. Here's Tate on a delay. Out close to the 45-yard line and short of a first down. Mark Dragg, a backup nose guard, drug him down.
Georgia's had some success with delay routes to Tate, both passing and running the football, because this Clemson defense is so aggressive. When you drop back the pass, the linebackers get deep. Watch the nose tackle here. Stevens, 65, certainly it's 85 actually, Dragg, fighting off the block and making the play. He's a big, strong kid, 260 pounds inside.
15 carries, 55 yards for Tate. Jackson simply keeps it and can't turn the corner. Tremendous defensive play by Gene Beasley, the safety, who comes up to press Jackson on that.
That'll be close to the first down.
Tackle by Gene Beasley.
This will depend on where the ball is spotted. The officials will call a timeout, and they will measure here at 4:20 to go in the 3rd period. Pat Hayden, give us a bit of an overview for folks who may have been out shopping or just came back in. What kind of a game we've had and where we stand here?
Well, we came in thinking that the Clemson defense really was going to handle this Georgia offense, but they got off to a very good start, mixing the plays awfully well. The Clemson defense has really been over-aggressive, I think, and James Jackson, the quarterback's coming up with some big plays. But Clemson's come back a couple of times, twice in this ball game, and now lead.
16-13. David Trudwell, last year's hero, has booted 3 field goals. So for the first down, Jackson brings the offense to the line of scrimmage at the 47. Here's Tate on the sweep to the right. Turns it upfield. Splendid run before Richard Smith brought him down. That's a 16-yard gain by Lars Tate.
And boy, did he get a nice block by his wide receiver, Nate Lewis, number 8. Again, wide receivers can turn 5-yard runs into 10-yard runs. The right guard, 68, right there. Stevens is going to make a block. The fullback makes another good block. And watch number 8, Lewis, right there, who clears the way for the run. I've really been impressed with the Georgia's receivers blocking.
Smith injured his shoulder on the play, and he is out of the game right now with that tackle. Rodney Hampton checks in at tailback for Vince Dooley. Hampton can't get away from James Earl. Mr. Earl has had himself an afternoon here in Death Valley.
Clemson's got some guys on the outside. James Earl, 225, and John Johnson, number 12, their bandit position on the other side. Quick pressure upfield by James Earl all afternoon. He has given Jackson some fits.
Now it's 2nd and 10. We'll have to see how this Clemson defense fills in for the injured Richard Smith for the time being. That could become a very vulnerable spot with Lewis in motion and Hampton hit by Michael Dean Perry, number 91. The Bridges' little brother gets across the line of scrimmage that time, beating the block and bringing down the runner.
You know, some defensive linemen, number 91 right there, just get into a rhythm. I don't think Georgia is changing the snap count, and he's into that rhythm. He beats the tackle off the ball, off the line of scrimmage every play.
Now he says, join me, folks. Let's go. Lars Tate checks in. The crowd responds to Perry's urging. Jackson incomplete, overthrew Lewis. And Wolford was there with the coverage, number 20 again. And now he's got a few words to say to the receiver as he heads back. Good pressure that time by Henry Carter, one of the linebackers.
And really good coverage. Nowhere really for Jackson to squeeze that ball in.
Joey Hester, he has been erratic. And Wolford stands inside his 15-yard line.
In a field goal type of game, a 3-point game, you cannot waste timeouts. Both teams have wasted them.
Under pressure, they almost block it. Hester got it off against fierce pressure that time, on into the end zone for the touchback, and he come out on the... So a reminder that we will be selecting the Chevrolet players of the game following this contest, both Clemson and Georgia. On first down, McFadden, the ball carrier. And the Georgia defense led again by number 42, John Brantley.
You know, with this much penetration by this Georgia defense, I think we expected to see Clemson run some sort of reverse, whether it's a tight end reverse or a flanker reverse, to try to take some of that the heat off. He could come up with a big play.
2:07 to go. And the clock winding down in the third quarter. Clemson 16, Georgia 13. Williams off the fake, complete. He hits Cooper. 15-yard gain.
And this was set up by very good protection and the inside runs earlier on. Watch the good fake. The linebackers have to take this kind of play away. But when you're up 3 yards away from the line of scrimmage, you don't have a chance. See, Brantley tries to get back, but he had already gone up for the fake. The ball was a little low, but Cooper made a nice scoop of the ball.
Quick hand to the fullback. Straight ahead was Chris Lancaster that time. Number 49 is the fullback. He has replaced Tracy Johnson. Lost a shoe.
If Clemson can just mix in a pass now and then, Brent, they really are a much different team. If they can just get that completion on a first down with a pass, it makes that fullback plunge a lot more successful.
Johnson replaces Lancaster at fullback. McFadden. Hit first by Guthrie, and Brantley there to clean up. With Uga hoping that his Bulldogs can stage a rally here as we approach the fourth quarter.
You think Uga's well named? Very apt. Good, tough running inside here by Clemson, and the offensive line of Clemson is beginning to take charge. Number 61, John Phillips, the right guard, on a little trap, cleared the way for McFadden there.
The fullback again, Lancaster.
Lancaster on the carry.
So the Junkyard Dogs on the field right now, and you talk about the leader. It is the middle linebacker, John Brantley, out of Wildwood, Florida. Scott Brantley out of the same town, and John says we're no relation. Second down and 8. The whistle sounded before the snap. In Dockery and Pat Hayden, I'm Brent Musburger. Part of a crowd which will come close to 80,000. Back in the mid-70s, this arena held only 40,000. It has been expanded since, and they could probably pour another 50,000 in here. Allen, the tailback, looking for daylight outside against that Georgia defense. Beasley making the stop for the Bulldogs.
Boy, and Brent, that is awfully tough, hard running by Terry Allen, because there really wasn't a whole lot there, but he knows how to put that shoulder down and picked up 4 yards pretty much on his own. Now Clemson's in that 3rd and 1 situation. Big conversion down for Clemson here. Keep the drive alive.
The biggest part of this game so far has been the kicking game. Georgia returned a punt for a touchdown in the first half, but then fumbled a punt inside the 10-yard line in the 3rd quarter, and that set up the go-ahead field goal. This is 3rd down and a pair of yards. Now they run the fullback, Johnson, for the first down. McClendon losing his helmet on the tackle. Those pennant races winding down. Detroit beating Milwaukee, and the Yankees holding off Toronto for the Tigers.
Dr. Barnes go to the north first aid station immediately.
First and 10.
Tigers to the 44.
Williams eyes the Georgia defense. The short man into the middle, Lancaster, and they have been using the fullback more here in the second half than they did in the first.
But you know what? They haven't thrown the ball much on first down. They've only had 2 passing plays Clemson has on first down. And one of them, remember, they completed for 20 yards. And they make it so much easier on themselves when they can just pick up a pass. And it could be a short pass, a screen pass, a dump off.
John Brantley just left the field because of a foot injury. That'll leave a gaping hole in the middle of that defense. He's their outstanding middle linebacker. Williams under pressure. Incomplete. Overled his receiver, Terry Allen, coming out of the backfield as Brantley receives a taping job over on the Georgia bench.
Yeah, that was the right call for the right defense. Georgia came with the all-out blitz. Terry Allen out of the backfield was wide open. It would have been an easy score. Williams just didn't put enough air in the ball.
Williams only 4 of 11. This is a team that rode Homer Jordan to a national championship back in 1981. Now let's see what Williams does on 3rd and 8. He completes it, but the wide receiver stepped back after catching the ball. Gary Cooper, number 25, working against Ben Smith on that side.
Boy, it just drives you nuts when you have 8 yards. The wide receiver doesn't run the pattern deep enough to pick up the first down. That ball was well thrown by Williams, but Hooper made the mistake of not getting the first down yardage.
Now on 4th down, Coach Ford in a time bind inside of 10 seconds. And a timeout is going to be called by a communication breakdown on the part of the Clemson team, and Coach Ford just holding his head in his hands. The offense has gone back on the field. They will try for the first down. 4th and a yard to go. The ball is at the Georgia 35. Johnson and Allen. They're the running backs behind Williams. Johnson didn't take it, but Williams kept it for the first down.
A terrific call on 4th down, Brent, because the defense expects the fullback punch or the tailback over the top. They're playing really aggressively, but the option forces the defense to play discipline, and that's tough to do on 4th and short. Rodney Williams reads it beautifully, sticks the ball in the fullback's chest, and then pulls it back out and picks up the first down. I like that call a lot. Boy, that's tough to defend on 4th down when the defense really wants to tee off.
Slick fake.
Yeah, that's nice.
First down for the Tigers. So they didn't waste now. Timeout is being called again. Turns to the Georgia defense. So it is first down for Clemson. And the tailback, Terry Allen, into the middle of that defense for Coach Ford.
If you're Coach Ford, you're really thinking touchdown here, because a touchdown really puts this Georgia team in a bind. Of course, a field goal just makes it a 6-point game. A touchdown can beat you. So Clemson needs to think touchdown here.
Treadwell 3 of 3 today. He beat Georgia last year. This a big play here at 2nd and 9. Time remaining in the game. Williams to the sideline, incomplete. He broke Allen out of the backfield.
Rodney Williams is upset with him, Brent, because he had an easy touchdown throw there to Terry Allen. He was open earlier, and Vince Dooley knows something went wrong on that defense. Terry Allen, the action was all to the left, and see, if he just throws the ball higher and leads him, that's an easy score. Give Terry Allen a chance to run under it.
He was isolated with a linebacker, had a step on him. Vince Guthrie couldn't catch him, but Williams overled him.
3rd and 9 from the 26.
Now it's 3rd and 9. Williams incomplete. Overthrows Ricardo Hooper.
At him again, Brent. He is just throwing the ball too high and too far today. He had Hooper open on the corner route for an easy catch, really. It was not a difficult throw.
And Treadwell to try another one. He's nailed 3 here this afternoon of 30, 43, and 29 yards. Now an attempted 42-yarder for David Treadwell.
Georgia's blocked 2 kicks in the last couple of years at Clemson's.
A big moment. No good. And they get in on that one.
Up there and may have tipped that ball.
1st and 10 for the Georgia Bulldogs. 11:20 to go, and they're down by 3. Lars Tate at tailback. They fake to him, and Jackson rolls to the left and completes his pass to tight end Troy Sadowski. Forced out of bounds by Gene Beasley.
Boy, that was nice touch there by Jackson. Say that sometimes can be a very difficult pass to throw when you're trying to lob it over the linebackers in front of you and in front of the defensive backs who are way downfield. But nice touch by Jackson.
Vince Dooley and the Georgia Bulldogs still alive here, as Clemson has been its own worst enemy in the second half. Jackson one good drive away. It's Lars Tate. Nothing there. Tony Stevens. Clemson on that last drive ate up 6-11, but no points.
Now, Tony Stevens is the nose tackle. He fights off the center and then stops the sweep on the inside. That man weighs 300 pounds, ladies and gentlemen, and has a 31-inch vertical leap. I find that incredible. Awfully strong.
Now keep an eye on Cassius Osborne and John Thomas. They are the wide men. Also Tate, an excellent receiver out of the backfield. 2nd and 10. Instead, Jackson keeps it, and Michael Dean Perry, number 91, brought him down.
I'll tell you, Perry, Brent, has got a rhythm on that quarterback snap count. If Jackson ever went on a long count, I'm convinced Perry would be offside, because he's guessing, but he's been guessing right all day long.
Georgia sends the play in from the sideline. 10 minutes to go. Tate and Jackson conferring about the call. slot formation to the right. Under pressure, Jackson goes deep down the middle, complete. Tremendous catch by Warner. A 37-yard pass from quarterback Jackson to tight end Kurt Warner. And the Dogs are alive.
I'm really surprised by the defensive call. Clemson is a vanilla defense, but there's an inside blitz. See, Haynes, number 14, he's an inside linebacker, man-for-man coverage, and Warner is 6'3", just taller than the defender, and makes the play off of Beasley. But I don't believe you should blitz there. Keep a center fielder to prevent the big play.
Jackson comes up with the big play offensively. Ball at the Clemson 22-yard line. This is Tate. Battles his way before he finally runs out of bounds.
What this Clemson needs to do, defense needs to do, is come up with some sort of negative play, whether it's a sack or a tackle for a loss, a tipped ball, something here. But now it's 2nd and 5. This is where they really have to bow their necks.
Jackson, that dangerous dimension at quarterback, a superb runner who can bootleg it either way for Dooley. They come with the big fella Tate. Cut off and turns it upfield inside the 10. Showing you why he is such a talented running back. Knew exactly when to turn that play upfield. He has carried the ball 19 times for 84 yards. No carry any more important than that one right there. It's 1st and goal downstairs to John Dockery.
Brent, there's a couple of sideline notes that may impact this football game. As you see, the free safety is now Rusty Chapia. He's replaced the injured Richard Smith. You see him right there in the middle. That may affect the Clemson defense.
Rodney Hampton replaces Tate, who takes a breather. Hampton coming around the left side. He's cut off, but he manages to escape and gets into the end zone for the Bulldogs. Well, it's just your normal neighborhood war between Georgia and Clemson. Rodney Hampton gets it in. And now Clemson will have to come back without any timeouts. Crumley's extra point.
Brett, this touchdown run was mostly Rodney Hampton. You're going to see him number 7. It's just the little pitch play, the sweep play they've been running all day. It's pretty well defended. You see 5 orange jerseys, but you see that little move, that little skate to the left? His coach has said he has an awful lot of shake and bake, and that's exactly what he did. He stopped and started awful quickly. It's a great run by Hampton.
Let's take you back to the biggest play of the afternoon.
Now, although this was well defended, watch Sadowski, the tight end, put the block on here. He's going to give Hampton a chance, but you're going to see 4 or 5 orange jerseys around him. But the real play comes in just a minute. We're going to freeze it right there.
Now watch this defensive back a lot. Watch how he comes up and runs off his own would-be tackler by accident. Crush. And that sprung the back. Williams on 1st down, incomplete. Wanted Hooper.
You know, Brent, as you think about all these Georgia teams, it's been incredible to me how many times we have seen Georgia hang in there, and win some way in the 4th quarter.
Yeah, Dooley's record late is truly remarkable. I think only Bo Schembechler and Joe Paterno have won more games amongst the Division I coaches than Vince Dooley. Here he is again with a 4-point lead, 8:45. This is 2nd and 10 for Clemson. Cooper comes through in motion. Allen with a great move, but left up by Ben Smith, number 26. Hauls him down after a 12-yard gain. What a splendid move by the freshman from Commerce, Georgia.
Well, we saw Hampton a moment ago give some shake and bake, but watch Terry Allen here as he hops over the top. There's a pretty good hole there to his left side, and he gets up and over some of the traffic down underneath him and gets into the secondary. Now, if he had picked up a block from his wide receiver, he was gone.
If you're going to be a national champion, you've got to score in the last few minutes of a tight game.
Straight ahead is Johnson, the fullback. He gets out to midfield.
An 11-yard run, and the Tigers come roaring back.
Remember, Clemson wasted a couple of timeouts earlier in the ball game, and that could be absolutely critical. They need a touchdown, obviously, to win.
In 4 overtime. That game gets longer and longer every time I see it on a screen.
With some dirty jerseys there.
On first down, Johnson straight ahead. Well, you've got to be so aware of Williams. If you were with us a few minutes ago, you saw the quarterback take it back, and Dooley watches the clock coming down on the scoreboard. 7:40. It can't move fast enough now for the Georgia coach.
If Clemson could just get something out of their passing game here, on the first down runs, they have not gotten much, but if they would just throw a screen pass or a little dump off, perhaps, and would make this drive a lot easier for the offense.
Wesley McFadden in at tailback. This is McFadden. Forced out of bounds on the short side by Vince Guthrie. Let's get an update from Jim Nance in New York. Jim, what's cooking?
Well, Brent, you gave that wild score, Richmond over Massachusetts in 4 overtimes. To explain, in the Yankee Conference, in overtime, each team is given the football 25 yards out. First overtime, both teams scored a touchdown and the extra point. Each team kicked a field goal in the second overtime, scored touchdowns in the third overtime. Fourth OT, Massachusetts scored a touchdown, missed the PAT. Richmond came back, scored the TD, kicked the extra point to win it 52-51 in a mere 4 overtimes. Let's go back to Brent.
All right, Jim. 3rd and 8 for Clemson. Ball at the Georgia 49. Goes back across the field, short of the first down. James Coley, the tight end, and Vince Guthrie, number 54, was there defensively. .656 and Clemson forced to punt it away. And they have changed return man for Siles' punt. Mike Bowen, number 12, checks in. They want someone sure-handed now just to make a catch. He fakes it. The Clemson defense gets down at the 1-yard line. Did it go in the end zone?
No. Oh.
That was John Johnson, number 12, who chased that punt down, a 43-yarder. And the freshman makes a huge play.
And the crowd very much comes in a factor as a play now. He tips the ball back. It never crosses the plane, and there's 2 or 3 other orange jerseys there to put the stop on it. That's good coverage by special teams. First time today, really.
And we simply had one of those big plays from a specialty team moments ago.
Well, you're right. Stopping the ball down on the 1-yard line. But look at the defense. Today, 158 yards. The Georgia offensive line has done a marvelous job of controlling a very good defensive front.
Ellis, the fullback.
Tate, the tailback. Jackson, and they tried to steal the ball from him. Tony Stevens, the nose man, went right after the football.
I think that defensive front thought it was going to be a quarterback sneak all the way, and that may have been a safety. They said no. His momentum was over the plane, the goal line. This defensive front, I would like to be there. Yes, quarterback sneak the whole way, and they're right there to make the play. That's Stevens, 65.
That defensive front: Tony Stevens, Michael Dean Perry, Raymond Chavis. Jackson sprinting in the end zone, can't get out. This is going to be a safety. James Lott, number 5, and Gene Beasley, 27, all over him.
pressure from the inside and the outside. Number 5, the defensive back Lott, fights off the block of Tate, slows him up just enough to get some help from 27 Beasley. I'll tell you, that's where they took a gamble. They figured they were going to come with some safe type of play, and they went an all-out blitz. And look at all the penetration. Jackson had no chance whatsoever. And Lott, number 5, did a great job of slowing him down till his teammates got there. And now, a field goal can beat Georgia. That's the significance of that safety.
Boy, Beasley did a great job of not letting him out of that end zone. And did you see Carter, number 40, coming defensively for the Tigers? So the big play was that hustle by John Johnson on the specialty team, downing that punt on the 1-yard line. That's the difference. Now John Casey with a strong leg has it teed up at the 20-yard line. Wolford and Lott are back deep to return it for Clemson. 5:38 on the clock. There's Wolford. Out to the 42-yard line. Georgia insisting they've recovered a fumble. The official will unwrap the bodies right there. The Clemson ball. 5:30.
It's really important for this Clemson offense to get something on first down, where they don't want to find themselves in that 3rd and 7 and 8 situation, which they have in this half, and really haven't done a very good job of converting.
Year after year, Georgia and Clemson, they always come down to the last few minutes. On first down, Williams flips it to McFadden, the trailing back. Defensively, it was Guthrie again. They have come hard at Guthrie's side this afternoon.
You know, as you look at Rodney Williams, he hasn't had a great day throwing the ball, but Brent, I think it's tough for an option quarterback to be a great thrower because you get pounded on and beat up so much. It's very difficult to have touch when you're getting pounded on so much.
Williams eyes the defense. Cooper in motion. There's McFadden. Clemson first down, an 11-yard burst. Replaces McFadden, the tailback. Allen. Inside the 35. 12 more yards for Clemson.
And give the offensive line all the credit. They are dominating the defensive front right now. The left side, Harmon and Granger this time, the left side of the scrimmage line really opened up a huge hole there for Allen. He pops right outside. He really wasn't touched until he was about 4 yards into the secondary of Georgia.
Lancaster, the fullback. So the play that set up Clemson for this drive. The special team getting down the field on this punt. And then it was the all-out blitz. And Beasley not allowing Jackson to get out of the end zone. Georgia leads Clemson. But the Tigers here with a 2nd and 8 from the 31. And again, it is Lancaster, and Aaron Chubb cuts him off, and I'm surprised about that call by Coach Ford and the offensive staff that they would come again with the short man.
And they've been successful running the option a little bit earlier, actually faking the ball, the fullback, and coming down the line of scrimmage, because if they don't convert here, it's still a very long field goal for Treadwell. This year, his long is only 39 yards.
And remember, Clemson without a timeout. They have squandered them earlier. So they have set up a 3rd and long situation. They've made it very tough on this call. Now the option. Allen steps away. Allen creates it. Allen for the corner.
fullback a little bit earlier, Brent. This is why, because it sets up this play. You fake the ball to the fullback, and then the defense really just overruns it. They had it pretty well defended, and Terry Allen, a great cutback runner. Great vision, great eyes. And he puts Clemson very much in a position to win this game.
Vince Guthrie defensively had a shot at Allen, and the freshman made a slick move. They pound ahead with Chris Lancaster.
Clemson's obviously is going to use as much of the clock as they possibly can.
I'm not sure that Coach Ford was happy with that play either. As Treadwell, who beat Georgia a year ago, continues to warm up here on the sideline.
Obviously, Danny Ford knows very well where Treadwell likes the ball spotted to make a kick. So ultimately, by the time 4th down rolls around, it will be wherever he likes it.
This leaves Clemson with a 1st and 15. McFadden got to the 11-yard line. Brent Collins, linebacker, brings him down there.
Unbelievable blocks, Brent, up front. Watch the offensive line, how they come off the ball. See Phillips, number 61, he was the right guard. The huge hole, the key block by Phillips, the right guard who pulled and trapped and created the big hole for Allen.
Now the ball is at the 11-yard line, and it's going to be 2nd down and 8. Time running down toward 1:30. Clemson without a timeout, and they must be very careful when they elect to move this field goal team in if it comes down to that. They cannot stop the clock with a timeout. McFadden inside the 10-yard line, and Ford has to be very aware of the clock now. It's moving down toward 1:10. This will be a 3rd down from about the 7-yard line. They would have to go near the 3 for a 1st down. We're moving down inside of a minute. He cannot allow the clock to run out before Treadwell gets on the field. A couple of substitutions from the sideline, and the clock continues to move. Clemson will try to bring it down, so Dooley will not have any time left. Straight ahead. That was Tracy Johnson up over the top. Now the clock running. Treadwell from the sideline. Here it comes. A year ago, Treadwell defeated Georgia with a field goal. History can repeat itself here this afternoon. It'll be a 21-yard attempt. Treadwell is 3 of 4. The crowd will tell you this story.
For the 2nd year in a row, David Treadwell. Remember, they had one blocked earlier, but very good protection there. And Brent, there was a penalty for too much celebrating again after the field goal. Can you believe that? They'll assess it on the kickoff. With 2 seconds left. Okay, he is a clutch kicker. It's the 4th time in his career that he's won or tied a game for Clemson with time running out.
A year ago, they were tied at 28. David Treadwell kicked a 46-yard field goal on the last play of the game. Here today, 2 seconds left on the clock, and Clemson down by 2 points. Treadwell again nails the field goal. The ball will be teed at the 20-yard line. Rusty Sile to kick it off.
Clemson has given up a touchdown on a return once this year already.
He'll have to haul it all the way. Clemson wins it. There is no love lost, and there are no holds barred when these teams meet. Every game is played like it's the only one in the season that matters. But a victory this year moves the winner closer to a national championship. The loser waits till next year, and the only certainty is that few players will emerge unscathed. Miami has always been known for a big play offense, but head coach Jimmy Johnson has the defense to carry his team this year. Bobby Bowden runs his squad with characteristic flair and has a high-flying offense to match. Florida's most explosive teams converge to settle a score. Number 3 Miami battles number 4 Florida State today on CBS Sports. Polls this week will show you the importance of this game. Number 3, the Hurricanes of Miami take on number 4, the Seminoles of Florida State. Without it,
always been to let's go after them, let's try to win a national championship. You know, this is the first year we changed it. Our number 1 goal, win the state championship. That will get you a shot at the national championship.
Florida State's recognized as being one of the better teams in the country. I think University of Miami is in the same position. The winner of this will go to a new plateau, and I think everybody around the country will say, hey, you know, they are for real.
What do you think about this state? Pat Hayden.
Jeff Francis, 14 out of 16 so far in the game, and 1 touchdown pass. This, the screen pass to Reggie Cobb.